Welcome once again to another episode of Monday Motivation. I'm your host, Avantii Uzor, and you already know what time it is. It's time for your weekly encouragement. As you can see, I'm in a new background again today, and that's because this is another guest interview show. Yes. But before I proceed, I always like to encourage you. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, why haven't you done that? You already know you should have done that. The reason why you gotta subscribe is because we want to saturate the airways with positive content. Like when you go on YouTube, you see all kinds of stuff. But this show is all about putting out stuff that is inspiring, motivating, encouraging, you name it. And when you subscribe, what that does is that it helps us pop up more on the YouTube search engine. And I already told you I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers, so help a sister out, okay? Thank you so much. So, are you ready? I don't want to waste much time today. I want to introduce to you a guest that has been a blessing. He is famous. Some of you might know him, some of you might not know him. He's a prolific songwriter, a man of God, a minister. So welcome with me, Bishop Soji Israel. Hallelujah. Well, just so you know, I like to call him Bishop because I knew him long time ago. But he's actually a doctor now.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, glory to God.
He's trying to be modest. No, don't be modest.
In everything.
So, now let's start from there.
Yes, to the glory of God, I was honored by the Emmanuel University of Theology in South Africa with the honoris causa of PhD. So, but of course, then a virtue that was extended because of what one has contributed in the long-term service. But beside that, I'm also I'm right now working on doing my Doctor of Divinity, my DDiv, in the same university. Yeah, so yeah, it's not just the honor, but we also have an active doctorate degree going on.
Wow.
Yeah, so apart from the honor which has been conferred, it's still an active DDiv that is going on right now. So I'm in school.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, because to learning there's no end,
Wow.
Yeah,
that's why he's a doctor. You see, he's already teaching us and telling us to learning there's no end. That's amazing. Because I'm curious to know. Okay. Because I'm like, how is Uncle Soji conferred a doctor in South Africa? He's like an international guy. First from Nigeria, now to the United States, now to South Africa.
Yeah, you see, to the glory of God, you see, I realized that when Jesus said, "You will be my witness from Jerusalem to Judea and to the ends of the earth," we make the mistake of thinking that he's talking about your physicality. It's not really, not everybody will go everywhere. Right. But what you do will ripple.
Hallelujah.
And ripple, touch one and bounce on another. And they carry, and they carry. And that is what is talking about, Wow. So when I've been privileged to write a couple of songs, that have been used for prayer and worship in Nigeria. And one of those songs is Baba Jackie Jabarede, which I wrote.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Praise God, But you see, one thing about that song is it got so popular, so big. It's arguably one of the biggest. It's like in the past generation. Let me say the past. What a Waymaker is today.
Right. That's close. Definitely.
Nearly like that.
If you know, you know. Some of y'all don't know. But let me blow your trumpet a little bit. No, some of y'all don't know, but Dr. Soji Israel is back in the days, we're talking 10, 20 years. What he said, 20 years ago, some of us were still kids. We used to look up to him, his songs, the one he's talking about, Baba Jackie Jabarede.
Yes.
That song and another song, I never see this kind God before.
Yes.
What? So those songs were massive. And that's what brought about the doctorate degree.
Well, that, and also because it's not just about, yeah, predominantly. You see, but you see, people don't honor you just because you become popular.
Correct.
Honor is not gained by popularity. Honor is gained by impact. You can be popular and not be impactful.
Wow.
And impact is not general. See the people that you are as big as the company you're founding, you are as high as the podium you stand on, and you're as important as who is talking about you.
See, I'm trying to recall from the one he said. I'm sorry, my Nigerian came out. This is an international show, amen. I have to stop acting. I have to stop acting like this, but he said something before that I wanted to come back to, but he said you don't have to go everywhere.
Yes.
But your impact
Your
can
impact can reach everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yes.
And now you're saying you're as big as
Yeah.
people you reach.
Now, you see, the thing is, see, importance. Nothing is important. I tell you that gold is not important. Gold is not the most expensive thing in the world. People made it. Everything.
That's true.
Everything, even to men of God. There is no man of God anywhere. I've not found one.
Okay.
What I've found is people who men believe in. It is the faith of men that makes the other men. It is what men believe. A friend of mine told me something years back, and it always stuck with me. And he said to me, Soji, perception is reality.
Wow.
You know, and you see, and that is why I held on to that. It's not like I never heard it before, but the day that was said to me, it made a lot of impact in my life, and I will not forget it. It's been about close to 20 years now that friend of mine reminded me of that. And so, whatever I do, I don't go in a route of say, oh, let them say, I don't care. No, you're shooting yourself, because that is not even a concept of Christianity. Jesus really taught us to be mindful of what people say about us. It's very important. Even to the extent that he asked his disciples, he said, who do men say? That is, what is asking in essence is, what are people saying about me? That's what that question was. And they said, some said you are Elias, some said you are
a prophet,
some said you are. None of them could say. Some said they said you are visible, but they knew that it was also called. It was also called.
They sure did. They sure did call him Beelzebub, for real.
You know, but said, okay, that's okay.
What do you say?
What do you say? That's what they said. Give it. But you, and nobody said nothing, because they had nothing. They were all a bunch of unbelievers at that time. But Peter, by the Spirit of God, was moved. He said, you are Christ, Son of the living God. And Jesus said to him, that was not even you speaking, Peter. I would not give that credit to you. He said, flesh and blood has not revealed this. He said, but with this confession you've made, because it came out of your spirit, on this foundation, I will build my church. What is that foundation? The foundation that says that he is the Christ, Son of the living God.
My God.
And that is all the Christian faith is all about. Every other doctrine we form out, our ways of worship, our ways not to worship, they're second to the confession of Peter. That is where the foundation is built upon. Everywhere that men believe that he is the Son of God and that he is the Christ. Every other thing they believe in, everything other thing they accept, whether they accept wearing clothes or not wearing clothes, it's immaterial, it's irrelevant. Those are preferences for association. What is important is that he is the Son of the living God.
Hallelujah.
And he is the Christ.
You can see, like, Brema, today I came here with a topic in mind, but my mind is spinning because I don't even know where to focus on. There's so much that I want to ask you, so much I want to talk about. Now, let me ask you this. Your father was a songwriter too, right?
Oh, massive. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to do a memorial because it's been 21 years since he passed.
Wow.
And what has been coming to me is the fact that my father and myself are like twins from different generations.
Wow.
We have this, Siamese-like, connection. And I remember I was looking at even the songs that I've written and the songs that he has written. By the way, he was a massive songwriter.
Massive.
In the 70s that had been unknown to many. A lot of songs, people who are Yoruba people, for example, or who are more conversant with the western part of Nigeria, well, if I mention some songs, they'll be like, "Ooh, what? You're kidding me? No, that cannot be." Some things that I will say that will be in context, or let me say that will be contested.
Contested, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be contested by people that no, you're kidding me. That guy is lying. And one of these, let me blow your mind, is 1976, according to the history that I have, because I was small at that time. But my mom is still alive, and she's a great testimony to this. My dad used to be a deputy to a world-known evangelist, Obadari. Timothy.
The very Obadari.
Yes, the very Obadari.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and back then, my dad was a very talented person. Very, very talented. He's just a genius. He's a genius, and he will play musical instruments. He inspired me a lot to pick up the instruments. He didn't teach me any. This thing between fathers and sons that it's so difficult.
Tell me about it.
To bear each other, but he just picked things. He's my first mentor. He's my first inspiration. Being also an evangelist and a prophet and all of that stuff. He was not an instrumentalist. But he just loved, he played the guitar, played the trumpet, and so I picked those things from him. Because
you play the bass, you play the drums, and you play the keys.
I also play trumpet.
Wow.
I play trumpet. It's just not something I do all the time, but I play trumpet. And people who know me well know that I play trumpet. And I play good. Only that my problem with trumpet is it's too breathtaking.
I know.
It's an instrument I love to play. And I'm good at it because I have melody. Because the secret of trumpet playing is having melody. And that's by the way. So I play trumpet, I play all the things. I make sure that everything he played,
you try to play it.
I try to play it too. So I'm like, you can say, a developed version
of your dad.
Of my dad. A more contemporary version of my dad. Even sometimes when I sing, I hear his voice. In my voice. I hear him right there.
It's so like, I'm curious now because recently I started following this young lady on Instagram, Victoria.
Okay.
And her last name was Israel, but I didn't put it together. Then I found out I just followed her. I'm like, man, this girl can blow. And then I heard her doing all the runs. I said, that sounds like, because I call him Uncle Soji. He said, that sounds like Uncle Soji's runs. And I found out that's his baby sister.
Yeah.
And then recently I found out his baby brother, Joshua.
Yeah.
Like, please. Isn't that your family is an embodiment of music? Like, what is it?
You can see that again. You can see that again. Exactly, to also know that even me right now, I have 2 active musicians in my house right now.
Wow.
That are my own seed.
Wow.
Now, Victoria is like a daughter to me.
Right.
Because she practically was born for me. She was very young when my dad passed.
So you were like her father.
I'm not like I am.
You are her father.
Like
the only father she knew.
Yeah, I was the father she got to know. So, and amazingly, even things when she was, because at the time she was born, my mother just wanted to have this girl.
I know. And she's the only girl, right?
She's the only girl.
Oh, so sweet.
My mom wanted to have this girl that even people didn't, how can you? People didn't even think she could get that baby because it was a baby of old age kind of thing. So, but she did get her, but we thank God for that. So the gifting, and my mom is a sonorous singer. Now
that makes sense because your dad can sing, your mom could sing, you and all your siblings can sing. It's like a generational music.
No, it's a gene. It's a gene. Even the rats in my house will sing. if the rat stays so long in my house, then
That's funny.
they have to sing. So we have a singing. Back in the days in the 70s, like there's a song that we've been trying to resolve with integrity music. We've not been able to find a way around that. There was a song my dad wrote in around 78, 79. They did a project together. It's a song everybody knows, but nobody even in fact, people think it's the Voice of the Cross brothers that had the song.
But your dad wrote it?
He wrote it. In fact, they had an album on it. They sang it in an album. And so it was a duet with my mom.
Wow.
They did a duet with my mom. And back in the days, even when at Obadari's, because they had a group, that would minister before Baba comes up to preach. My mom was one of the lead singers, in the group. So, yeah. So my dad was, both of them they were singing duo. But I think my dad is a better singer though. And he's a massive songwriter.
He's gonna cite his dad.
I'm not saying. Even my mom knows. My dad can sing. He's good.
I bet.
He's good. And for me, I don't even call. But with my mom, she's got a beautiful voice, very sweet voice. Even at her age, God bless her. She still sounds good if she opens her mouth to sing. And so we have that family that is permeated with melody. Everybody has it. Then songwriting, like all my siblings you just mentioned, it is an open stuff, right? It's not religious.
It's not religious.
Okay, it will interest you to know that one of my daughters, my own very daughter, has been signed by Maven as a songwriter.
Are you serious? Like the Maven Records, Don Jazzy Maven Records?
Yes.
That's amazing. Congratulations, sir.
Well, I mean, people are like, how can I said, no, we're not, see, let's understand that we are in the world.
We are not of the
We
world,
are
but
not
we are
of
in
the
the
world.
world.
And the more Jesus gave us some lessons that we never learned. He came in and he did not, the so-called label, Jesus never labeled people. He only knew who he was. And one of the errors of the church over the years is that we have labeled, and it was the era of the Jews. We picked it up as the church.
We're still doing it till today.
Yeah.
Today.
When God related to the Jews through the channel of Abraham, and they thought this God must be our property. And after Jesus came also, that we received the faith, we still went to the line of Abraham and thought this Jesus also must be our property. And that's not what he came to do. He came to open the channel of God to the world.
To the world.
But how can you now mingle? How can you quote scriptures like, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers?
That's the famous one.
You got it. And these scriptures are actually taken out of context.
Exactly.
They're taken out of context because Jesus gave us, and I said to people, to all men, to everyone, there's regard for what they say, but for me, the truth is Jesus.
That's it.
And anything that cannot stand juxtaposed with the words of Jesus, for me, I don't care who says it. I really don't care from what source it came. I don't care how popular.
That's shaking tables.
I don't mind to shake tables. These are the days to shake tables.
These are the days to shake tables.
Yes, I mean, I've spent. You see, I was born in the church. The better part of my life. So I grew up in the church. I've seen things. I'm a church boy. I'm a church boy, and I know that now I can tell people where I'm not absolute. I'm not an authority. I'm only saying that I have a view. I have a view of what we did right,
what we did wrong,
and what we did wrong,
and what we are doing wrong.
And what you get what I'm saying,
right?
And how we have misplaced, and that's why the surprise. It won't be a surprise. We'll be given the heads up, and Jesus gave us all the heads up that you can do all the things you do.
And in that day, he'll say, "I don't know."
And he will say, "I don't know you."
Hey, Lord have mercy.
So it means everything, all the evangelism you have gone for, all the night vigils you have gone for, because they will challenge him and say, "In your name." So in other words, we can be very fervent. We can be very, very, very. We can give all to the church and give nothing to Christ.
Jesus. Woo, Lord.
And that for me. And I also say this to musical artists who are doing worship music. Jesus said in John chapter 4 that God is seeking those who worship Him in spirit.
And truth.
That truth, what is that truth? Jesus is the standard truth. Then when He's saying you will worship Him in spirit, that is that their spirit will be awoken enough. The spirit will be potent enough to catch up with Him. Because He is spirit. Then the truth is the reality of who they are in humanity without any kind of decorations. That is why people you condemn will be loved by God.
Very loved. Very loved.
When God said, I say to people that, do you think David was a very good king?
David was a murderer.
It was not, apart from even the atrocities, it was so bad that even his sons had the jurisdiction to topple his government. And it's not only Absalom that revolted against David. Adonijah also did the same thing. So in other words, it was his policies, his ruling was not the best. But he was the man after God's heart.
You know, I don't want us to go too deep for some people who might not know this part of the Bible, but I want to focus on I've heard you speak. You're not a religious person.
No, not in any way.
Yeah, so you could have easily been a wonderful R&B singer.
Yes.
Easily. When I mean easily, if he wanted to do R&B, he would probably be writing for the likes of, you know who, the secular artists, the main ones out there. But why did you decide that, okay, I want to stay in this line, I want to do this for God and with God and in the kingdom? Why did you do that?
I think, first of all, I think God set me up.
That's how I feel. Like when I see God, I'm going to be like, thank you for setting me up.
No, for real. Because if I look at myself and the kind of mind that I have, the first thing is I thank God for that's why I celebrate my dad all the time, because he was a non-religious person. Many times we think that, or sometimes we think that you have to make God ambiguous for people to accept, to relate to, mystify godliness. But I tell you, when you mystify godliness or godhood, at the end of the day, it is too much for people to bear, and they fall aside at some point when realities of life come. And that's what Jesus was telling them. That the Bible is my best reference for life. You know, for me, everything in life, you can find it in the Bible. So I'm not being religious quoting from it. It's just my preference. It's my guide. You know, Jesus said to the people, He said, "Come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Right. Now, people think it's talking about people who are carrying heavy load, physical load. It's not talking about people who are carrying physical load. It was actually talking about the religious load that was put on the people, the Torah, the fulfillment of 681 laws or thereabout.
I'm trying hard not to get into this topic with you, Lord Jesus.
You know, it was like, no, you can't do it. It's like, this is the easy way out. It demystified it. And that's what we need to do. Well, I'm talking about my dad. I saw the faults of my dad as a human. Then I felt the pulse of my dad as a chaser of God.
So you saw that he wasn't perfect.
No.
But he had a heart for God. Like a genuine love for God.
Yes.
And that was what helped you to say, I like what he has.
Yes.
I want to be this.
Yes. And I now began to grow in it, to discover myself and make my own decision to stay in it.
That's important. Make your own decision.
Yes. So my experience was not born out of coercion.
You had a relationship.
Yes. I had an encounter myself.
My God.
First of all, learning from my dad. I learned from my dad. I learned humility. I learned meekness I learned a lot of things from my dad, and I also saw his frailty. And
And
that,
it's I love the fact that you're saying this because one of the things I struggled with when I was growing up in the faith was the constant show of perfectionism.
yeah,
You know, and I think it's a problem because growing up, I couldn't, when I heard like maybe something happened to somebody we looked up to spiritually, it used to break my heart.
Yeah.
And I feel like why I used to feel somehow was because I just had this
Because of the
mindset
image being portrayed.
yeah, of perfectionism. And that's one thing I'm trying to let people know, like, these are humans.
you know, Jesus,
They will
like,
make
you know,
mistakes.
I will always refer to Jesus because he's just the standard of everything.
Right.
They called him the friend of sinners. The reason
Right.
is because the people who are rejects, the people who the law does not even, who are considered outlaws
Outlaws by the law.
by the law, where the people now, if you put it into this context, it means you'll find him around the drug dealers, around the so-called people you like. No child of God should be in that place.
Right.
And that's why you will find him among them, dining, discussing. Now I tell people that when you say, don't go among you can be corrupted. I say whatever you have that is corrupted means it is not strong enough.
But you know, I'm sitting here and I'm loving what you're saying because you can hear his deep in the things of God. I want you to speak because I just felt it so strong in my heart right now that there's a lot of young people and it might be older people too who are in the place that you were and I was a while ago, where we were trying to find our fitting. Like, we love the Lord, but we still, we're still in the world and we're trying to relate. And then it almost feels like we can't fit into the church because they've set up all these laws. Your hair can be like this. And now they're in between. They're like, maybe if the church don't want me, I might as well go to the world. Like, I want you to speak because I don't know why. I just felt that strongly in my spirit now that you need to talk to somebody out there and help them navigate that place that they are in.
Okay, first of all, thank you for that. I'm a crusader now for impart. And I say to people, now God did not make us for the church. God made us for the world. And that is where we've gotten it all wrong. The people who have taught us wrongly. They taught us to run from politics. They taught us to run from entertainment.
Hey.
They taught us to run from Hollywood. They taught us and that is the reason why the people who hijacked it are promoting all the
Another agenda.
agendas of the
Hell.
evil kingdom.
Right.
The command was this. It said, and he blessed them. It's a seed of Adam. You don't have to be a Christian to carry that blessing. The blessing is on the seed of Adam. And God blessed them and said unto them, be fruitful. That is why you don't have to go to church for you to carry a baby.
That's right. That's so true.
Be fruitful and multiply. And the fruitfulness is not just on the level of carrying babies, ideas. Be idealistic. Let ideas roll in your head. Imagination. Be imaginative. Be constructive. And it said, be fruitful and multiply. Because it is by the imagination that we multiply. Okay, the power is in us. Then the next thing it says, and replenish. That means make better. So I say to people, our duty is not to heaven. Heaven is our resting place. Our assignment is to the earth. And that is why we all are coming here with our portfolios. We call them gifts and talents. With our paraphernalias, our instrument. There is no one born of a woman who is void.
Hi, thank you for watching. Today's episode will be continued next week. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you again. Bye for now.